She was born Aina, a princess of the Yoruba people in West Africa. But childhood ended too soon. At the age of 5, her village fell to the armies of Dahomey. She was captured, her family destroyed, her future marked for ritual sacrifice. And yet, fate intervened. A British naval officer, Captain Frederick Forbes, saw her, not as a prisoner, but as a life worth saving. He rescued her and gave her a new name, Sarah Forbes Bonetta, a name that carried both her saviour's mark and the ship that bore her away from Africa forever. When Sarah arrived in England in 1850, she was brought before Queen Victoria. The Queen was captivated by the child's intelligence, her composure, her quiet brilliance. Victoria did something extraordinary. She took Sarah under her wing. She became the Queen's protégée, educated, refined, welcomed into the royal household. But behind the polished manners and elegant gowns was still a child, torn from her roots. An African princess living in a world that looked upon her as both remarkable and foreign. As Sarah grew, her life was one of contrasts. She mastered English and music, her mind dazzling tutors and aristocrats alike. Yet she carried the burden of ill health, of loneliness, of being neither fully African nor truly British. At just 19, her destiny was shaped once more. Queen Victoria arranged her marriage to a wealthy Yoruba merchant in Britain, James Davies. The wedding was grand, filled with pomp and ceremony. And when Sarah bore a daughter, she named her Victoria, and the Queen of England herself stood as godmother. It was a bond across continents, sealed by affection and by power. But privilege could not shield her from fate. At only 37, Sarah's life ended in Portugal, plagued by tuberculosis. Queen Victoria mourned her deeply, writing of her grief in private journals. Sarah's daughter carried her memory into West African high society, a living echo of her mother's story. And yet, over time, the world forgot the princess who walked in palaces, forgot the bridge between empires, forgot the African child who became a queen's goddaughter. Sarah Forbes Bonetta's life was not simply one of tragedy, nor of privilege. It was the story of survival, of a girl who should have been lost to violence, but instead became part of Britain's royal family. And still, her name is scarcely spoken. Her legacy reminds us that history is not only what is remembered, but what is erased. Sarah was more than a curiosity of empire. She was an African princess, a survivor, and she deserves to be remembered. If you believe stories like Sarah's should never be forgotten, share her legacy and help uncover the next untold chapter. Like, subscribe, and join us in bringing history's silent voices back to light.